Okay. Setting up my camera.
Okay, sorry about that.
Okay.
I apologize. I put your face on insaga.com, and we actually get a lot more questions there. So that's why
Okay.
we're doing it on insaga.com. A lot of people from, actually more people from Brampton go on insaga.com. So and
I'm
in
going to
Brampton.
turn the light on. We get some better lighting. You hold
Yeah,
on
go
1
ahead.
second. There.
This,
Okay.
yeah, this isn't a TV interview, so it's really chill. You can do whatever
You
you
still
want.
want to look good for in
Yeah,
Saga.
we
You want a
always
proper
work
lighting.
together. So, okay, so I got a bunch of questions. Okay.
Okay.
Stay-at-home order expires on May 20th. And I know I ask this every week. May 20th, what's going to happen?
They haven't given us any indication yet from the provincial level whether that will be extended.
Okay. 18-plus vaccination clinics are open now for everybody in Brampton and in Peel. Now, because of this, are we going to see individualized pop-ups in certain hotspot areas, or is that being canceled?
Well, first of all, let me say it is awesome that we have eligibility now over the age of 18. This was a real frustration, and I was hammering away at this in the media. Average age of an essential worker is 36, and when the age threshold for a vaccine was 45 plus, we had the most vulnerable being left in the cold. And so the fact that they changed this week as of Monday at 8 a.m. to anyone over 18, it means our most vulnerable are being protected. We're finally seeing the focus on the hot spots, which we were begging for. And so I really, for the first time in a year, I'm optimistic about the weeks ahead. I think we're going to get things under control in Peel region. Vaccines pave the way to getting back to normal. In terms of pop-up clinics, they'll still be used in some factories where you can get to a large amount of people quickly, but
Okay.
just assume that these mass vaccination centers are giant pop-ups. One of the reasons they were doing pop-ups in Toronto is there are some corners of Toronto that had high rates and some areas that had low rates, and so they were trying to target the areas that had high rates of COVID-19. In Brampton, it's a little bit different. Every postal code is considered a hotspot. There are not pockets that are low rates or high rates. The entire city is a hotspot.
So you're saying just go to the mass vaccination centers then?
Go to a pharmacy, go to a mass vaccination center, go to a primary care provider, go and get your vaccine anywhere you're eligible. And if you're over 18, you are now eligible.
Cool. Can people that work in hotspots that live, let's just say, in Toronto or Halton, can they book vaccination within Brampton?
If they live in a hotspot.
If they
So
live
if
in
they
a
live in a
hotspot,
hotspot in Halton or live in a hotspot in Toronto, then they can.
but not work. If they work there, they're not eligible.
If they live in an area that's not a hotspot, then they wouldn't be eligible in the provincial booking system.
Okay. What major workplaces are on schedule to get vaccinated soon? I think Amazon, Walmart are, I think, scheduled for next week.
Yeah, so I don't have any new information of businesses that the province is sending pop-ups to, but I do know that there's a long list of about 100 factories that volunteered, so there's no shortage of volunteers. It's just how quickly they can get those mobile teams.
Health Canada said that the Pfizer vaccine is good for 12 years old to 18. Do you think kids will have to get vaccinated before the school year in September?
I'm not sure if that would be a requirement. What I would say is the more kids we get protected, the less platform the virus is going to have to move and spread. And so getting vaccinated is important. And we passed a motion at Brampton City Council yesterday asking for the province to make vaccines available for those over 12 now that it's recommended by Health Canada.
Okay. So, so do you think, when do you think this will start? Do you, for 12 and up?
There's some talk that it'll be in the summer, but from my personal perspective, the sooner the better.
Okay. And have you heard anything about the second shot being moved up? Because I know Pfizer's getting 1 million a week in May. Have you heard anything about that?
No, they haven't shed any details on that. Ultimately, that once again will be a provincial decision, and they haven't given us any. I believe they should be moved up. In particular, Pfizer, they have said that they can't guarantee their clinical trial results based on a 4-month delay. And so, absolutely, I think we should be offering those second shots.
True. And we both got the AstraZeneca, and there's no more AstraZeneca left, so we'll see what happens with us. Flight ban from India expires in 2 weeks. Do you think that this will be extended?
Well, I think the flight ban was just for optics, because you can still book a non-direct flight to India and Pakistan.
Yep.
And so the government did a move that was really responding to public pressure without the intention to really make something that was concrete. So do I believe it should be extended? Yes. Do I believe it should be made more fulsome by saying non-direct flights are also prohibited? We got variants entering the country. I know they say it's only 2% of the travelers that bring back COVID. Well, that's 2% too many.
Yeah. Now, I guess, if you had the choice, would you close down the airport? Is that?
I would close down the airport to all leisure travel. If there's medical supplies coming in, essential workers, that's one thing. But for leisure travel, the fact that you can still go on a vacation right now in the middle of a stay-at-home order is bewildering to me.
The number of Brampton Transit drivers who have COVID-19 are beginning to spike again. How come they were never considered to be essential workers? And I noticed that Toronto now is allowing, TTC drivers to kind of just go right in front of the line.
So they are considered essential workers,
Yeah.
but right now they can get a vaccine at a mass vaccination center. They can get a vaccine at a pharmacy or a primary care provider. And Brampton City Council wrote the province and Peel Public Health asking if they could additionally do a pop-up clinic at Brampton Transit, just to make it easier for people that are working shift work to get their vaccine. These are frontline heroes. They've been taking on a heavy burden during the pandemic, and I absolutely believe we need to do everything we can to protect these Brampton Transit operators.
So you're saying that there might be a pop-up vaccination clinic at the Brampton Transit warehouse?
We've made that request officially.
Yep.
Council passed a motion unanimously requesting that from Peel Public Health and the provincial health table. We haven't got a response for our request, but that is our desire.
Mayor Brown, have you ever been to the 747 flea market? Have you ever?
No, I haven't.
No? Okay. Well, it's a flea market in Brampton, super popular. Unfortunately, it's closing down.
I've got correspondence on that, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people are upset, and a lot of vendors, are upset by the way it got handled and stuff like that. They literally got booted out. Do you know what's happening with that property?
So if there's a Landlord and Tenant Act issue, then it would be up to the province of Ontario, because they govern the Landlord and Tenant Tribunal. There's not a municipal role per se in that, but I do believe tenants need to be treated more appropriately, as to have businesses essentially with little notice thrown out doesn't seem appropriate. And so we are following that, but ultimately, if there are rights that have been abused, it would be the Landlord and Tenant Tribunal that would hold that landlord accountable.
Any tickets over the last week in Brampton?
We've had some tickets. We had one incident that I spoke about at my weekly press conference, where someone was having a birthday party at a business on Steele Street. Not appropriate. Okay. They got some big fat tickets. They refused to cooperate with the bylaw officer, and then assaulted the bylaw officer. The Peel Police came in and charged that individual. Don't be stupid. You will be found. You'll be held accountable. But other than that, a high level of compliance. Most people understand that the guidelines that are out there right now are for everyone's safety.
Mayor Brown, are you still jogging? Are you talking to the province in regards to opening outdoor amenities?
Yeah, I'm like a broken record on opening outdoor amenities. The science table says it's safe. The science table says it's good for people to get their physical activity. It's good for their mental health. That should never have been shut down. So is it redundant to say that I want them opened? Absolutely. Open them. Open outdoor amenities. There's no basis. There's no medical advice, no scientific data that suggests that outdoor amenities should be closed. Whether it's cricket pitches, baseball diamonds, tennis courts, golf courses, open them up. this is hard enough with COVID-19. To take away people's outdoor recreational amenities, not based on science, is wrong.
True. Do you support a vaccine passport?
That will be a decision of the government of Canada. Our health minister, Patty Haydu, has already suggested that Canada will, like the EU, have a vaccine passport. I expect that will be pretty common around the world, but it would not be something that we would get input into locally.
And a question that we get a lot is, do you think the schools will go back to school by the end of this school year?
I am hopeful to be back in June, but it all depends on the data. It all depends on the numbers. But it would be, I really hope that we can salvage some of the school year. There's a real consequence to learning. You can't depend on online learning to be as effective as in-class learning.
And Toronto has this program called Active TO. Does Brampton have an equivalent or thinking about that?
So we've got a very active plan when it comes to active transportation. We got ambitious and active plan. Councillor Santos has been really on top of this, pushing this as well. So we're building a record number of bike trails every year in Brampton. If you look at this year's list, it's just it's incredible. We're trying to make it as easy as possible for active transportation to be part of your daily life in the Flower City. So yes, we are all over active transportation, and we put our budget behind our commitments. You know, we've got significant allocations to building new active transportation every year.
Awesome. Mayor Brown, thank you so much. I'll see you next Friday.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Take care.